The crystal wine glasses clinked together as my family celebrated my brother Nathan's latest promotion to senior partner at his law firm. Our monthly family dinner at my parents' elegant dining room had become a showcase for Nathan's achievements, while I sat quietly managing what they dismissively called my health obsession. "To Nathan," my father declared, raising his glass of expensive Bordeaux. "Finally, someone in this family who understands real success and commitment." I discreetly checked my phone, where my blood count monitoring app was displaying concerning trends that had been developing over the past month. My white blood cell count had been steadily climbing, and today's numbers showed levels that made my stomach clench with worry. "Rebecca, put that phone away," my mother chided from across the table. "We're celebrating your brother's achievement, not monitoring your latest imaginary health crisis." The dismissive tone was nothing new. For the past 6 months, my family had been treating my increasing medical appointments and health monitoring as evidence of hypochondria rather than legitimate concern about troubling symptoms. "It's not imaginary," I said quietly, setting down the phone. "My blood work has been showing some concerning patterns." Nathan laughed, adjusting his new Rolex watch. "Let me guess. You Googled some symptoms and convinced yourself you have a rare disease? Rebecca, you've been doing this for months. Maybe it's time to consider therapy instead of more medical consultations." My sister Emma nodded approvingly. "Nathan's right. You've been to more doctor appointments this year than most people see in a lifetime. At some point you have to accept that anxiety might be the real issue." The irony was crushing. While they celebrated Nathan's legal success with wine and expensive dinners, I'd been quietly dealing with increasingly severe symptoms: persistent fatigue, unexplained bruising, night sweats, and swollen lymph nodes that my primary care physician had been monitoring with growing concern. "Dr. Martinez has been very thorough with her testing," I said, trying to explain without alarming anyone. "She's been tracking some abnormalities that require ongoing monitoring." My father rolled his eyes dramatically. "Dr. Martinez is probably just being cautious to avoid malpractice suits. That's what happens when patients come in with vague complaints and internet research. Doctors order unnecessary tests to cover themselves." Emma leaned forward with theatrical concern. "Rebecca, honey, we're worried about you. This obsession with medical testing isn't healthy. You're missing family events, spending all your time on medical websites, and creating anxiety where none needs to exist." The accusation stung because it contained just enough truth to feel plausible. I had been missing some family events, specifically the ones that conflicted with my increasingly frequent medical appointments and the days when my symptoms left me too exhausted to socialize. "Last month she missed Nathan's celebration dinner because of another urgent appointment," my mother continued. "And the month before that it was some emergency blood work that couldn't wait. Rebecca, normal people don't need medical attention every week." Nathan nodded sagely, his legal training making him sound authoritative. "It's classic anxiety disorder presenting as health concerns. Rebecca, you're creating a cycle where anxiety about your health is actually making you feel sick." My phone buzzed with a text message from Dr. Martinez's office. The preview showed "urgent. Please call regarding your recent test results," but I didn't dare check it fully with my family already criticizing my medical obsession. "See." Emma pointed at my phone. "Another medical emergency that mysteriously appears during family dinner. Rebecca, this pattern is getting concerning." The truth was that I'd been experiencing increasingly severe symptoms for months, but every attempt to discuss them with my family had been met with dismissal and accusations of hypochondria. My persistent fatigue was attributed to stress, my weight loss to anxiety, and my frequent bruising to clumsiness. "Dr. Martinez has been wonderful," I said defensively. "She's been very careful about tracking my symptoms and running appropriate tests." "Appropriate tests?" Nathan scoffed. "Rebecca, you've had blood work every week for 2 months. That's not appropriate. That's excessive. Most people get annual blood work, not weekly monitoring." My father nodded approvingly. "Nathan's right. You're probably spending more on medical tests than most people spend on their cars. At some point, you need to accept that you're healthy and stop looking for problems that don't exist." The weekly blood work Nathan mocked was actually crucial monitoring that Dr. Martinez had ordered after my initial test results showed abnormal cell counts requiring careful tracking. But explaining the medical necessity would only fuel their belief that I was overreacting to normal variations. "Maybe you should find a hobby," Emma suggested with false sweetness. Something to occupy your time instead of constantly focusing on your health. Join a book club, take up yoga, do something productive instead of obsessing over imaginary symptoms. The suggestion that my legitimate health concerns were a hobby requiring replacement with yoga classes was particularly infuriating. While they saw medical appointments as evidence of boredom or anxiety, I was actually following careful medical protocols for investigating potentially serious conditions. My phone buzzed again, this time with a call from Dr. Martinez's office. The caller ID showed Oncology Associates, a detail that would have alarmed my family if they'd been paying attention to anything other than criticizing my health concerns. I excused myself to take the call, stepping into my parents' elegant foyer while my family continued celebrating Nathan's promotion. Dr. Martinez's nurse sounded unusually serious as she explained that my latest test results required immediate discussion and that Dr. Martinez wanted to schedule an urgent consultation for tomorrow morning. When I returned to the dining room, my family was deep in conversation about Nathan's latest case victory, barely acknowledging my return. "Everything okay with your latest medical drama?" Nathan asked mockingly. "Let me guess. Another emergency that requires immediate attention?" Before I could respond, the doorbell rang with an unusually formal sequence of chimes. My mother frowned, checking her watch. "Who could that be? We're not expecting anyone." My father went to answer the door, and we could hear him speaking to someone with a tone of confusion and growing formality. After a few minutes, he returned to the dining room followed by a woman in a white coat and two other professionally dressed individuals. "I'm sorry to interrupt your family dinner," the woman said with grave authority. "I'm Dr. Susan Chin, Director of Hematology Oncology at University Medical Center. I've been trying to reach Rebecca about her test results, but when she didn't respond to our calls, I became concerned about her welfare." The words hematology oncology hung in the air like a bomb. My family's expressions shifted from confusion to alarm as they processed what they were hearing. "I'm here with Dr. James Rodriguez, Chief of the Medical Board, and Sarah Williams from our Patient Advocacy Department," Dr. Chin continued. "We need to discuss Rebecca's recent test results immediately, as they indicate a serious condition requiring urgent treatment." Nathan's face had gone pale. "Serious condition? Rebecca, what is she talking about?" Dr. Chin looked confused, glancing between me and my stunned family. "Has Rebecca not discussed her diagnosis with you? We specifically recommended family support during this process." Emma found her voice first. "Diagnosis? What diagnosis? Rebecca's been having some anxiety about her health, but there's no actual medical condition." Dr. Chen's expression hardened with professional disapproval. "I'm sorry, but there's been a significant misunderstanding. Rebecca has been under investigation for a hematologic malignancy for the past month. Her blood work shows clear evidence of leukemia." The word leukemia seemed to echo in the suddenly silent dining room. My mother's wine glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the hardwood floor. "Leukemia? That's cancer. Rebecca can't have cancer. She's been fine. She's just been anxious about her health." Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward. "Mrs. Thompson, your daughter has been showing classic symptoms of acute lymphocytic leukemia for several months. The anxiety you've been observing was actually her body's response to a serious blood cancer." My father sank into his chair, finally understanding that the medical appointments they'd been mocking were actually cancer investigations. "Furthermore," Dr. Chin continued, "Rebecca's compliance with our monitoring protocols has been exceptional despite what appears to be a complete lack of family support. She's been managing the terror of potential cancer diagnosis while being accused of hypochondria by her own family." Nathan looked physically ill. "Cancer? But she never said. We thought she was just being dramatic about normal health issues." Dr. Williams pulled out a tablet. "According to our records, Rebecca has been trying to discuss her symptoms and test results with family members, but these conversations have been consistently dismissed as anxiety or attention-seeking behavior." Dr. Chin moved to the dining room table, clearing space among the celebration dishes to spread out my medical files. The elegant family dinner setting suddenly felt surreal as she transformed our gathering into an impromptu medical consultation. "These are Rebecca's initial blood work results from 6 weeks ago," Dr. Chin said, pointing to laboratory reports. "White blood cell count of 50,000, normal is under 10,000. blast cells comprising 40% of her white cell population. These numbers alone warranted immediate oncology referral. Nathan leaned forward, his legal training finally engaging as he processed actual data rather than dismissing symptoms. Those numbers, that's serious pathology. Extremely serious, Dr. Chen confirmed. And here are her bone marrow biopsy results from last week. She pulled out pathology slides and held them up to the dining room light. Clear evidence of acute lymphocytic leukemia, specifically B-cell lineage. This is stage 3 disease requiring immediate intensive treatment. My mother gasped audibly, finally understanding the medical reality of what I'd been facing alone. Dr. Rodriguez continued with clinical precision. The symptoms Rebecca has been reporting, fatigue, bruising, weight loss, night sweats, are classic presentations of acute leukemia. Her body has been fighting cancer for months while you've been attributing these symptoms to anxiety. He looked directly at Nathan. You mentioned that normal people don't need weekly blood work. Patients with rapidly progressing leukemia require twice-weekly monitoring to track disease progression and plan treatment timing. Nathan's confidence had completely collapsed. We didn't know. She seemed fine most of the time, just tired and worried about her health. She seemed fine because she's been managing a life-threatening illness with remarkable courage while receiving no emotional support from her family, Dr. Chen replied sharply. Most patients at her disease stage are hospitalized. The fact that she's been maintaining normal activities while dealing with acute leukemia is medically impressive. Dr. Williams pulled out another document. This is Rebecca's treatment protocol. Given the aggressive nature of her leukemia and the advanced stage, she needs to begin intensive chemotherapy immediately. We're looking at 6 months of inpatient treatment followed by 2 years of maintenance therapy. The medical terminology filled the room with crushing weight. This wasn't the health anxiety my family had accused me of. This was a detailed treatment plan for life-threatening cancer. Furthermore, Dr. Chen continued, I need to address something troubling. Rebecca's medical records show that she's been managing this diagnosis completely alone. She listed no emergency contacts, declined family notification options, and specifically requested that we not contact relatives because, quote, they think I'm making it up. She looked around the table at my stunned family members. In 30 years of treating cancer patients, I have never had a patient request that we not inform their family of a leukemia diagnosis because they were afraid of being accused of lying about having cancer. My father's voice was barely a whisper. She said we thought she was making it up? According to our social worker's notes, Rebecca reported that family members accused her of having health anxiety, seeking attention and wasting money on unnecessary medical tests, Dr. Williams replied. She's been facing the possibility of death while being told by her family that she was imagining her symptoms. Emma finally spoke, her voice breaking. Oh my God, Rebecca. We really thought. We believed you were just anxious and overdramatic. We had no idea it was actually cancer. Dr. Chen's expression remained professionally cold. Your sister has been calling our office in tears after family gatherings where you accused her of hypochondria. She's been managing the terror of a cancer diagnosis while being dismissed by the people who should have been supporting her. Dr. Chen gathered the medical documents with practiced efficiency, her disapproval of my family evident in every movement. Rebecca, we need to admit you for treatment within the next 24 hours. Your latest blood counts show the disease is progressing rapidly. My family sat in stunned silence, the remnants of Nathan's celebration dinner growing cold around them. The festive atmosphere had been completely shattered by the reality of my cancer diagnosis. I want to be very clear about something, Dr. Rodriguez continued, looking directly at my parents. Acute lymphocytic leukemia has an 85% 5-year survival rate with proper treatment and strong support systems. Without family support, those numbers drop significantly due to increased stress and treatment noncompliance. My mother was crying openly now. We didn't know. We thought she was we never imagined she actually had cancer. You thought your daughter was lying about having leukemia, Dr. Chen finished bluntly. Despite her presenting with classic symptoms, following appropriate medical care and providing you with the name of her oncologist, you chose to believe she was delusional rather than listen to her. Nathan looked physically devastated. Dr. Chen, what can we do now? How can we help her? Dr. Chen's gaze was withering. That's something Rebecca will need to decide for herself. After months of being accused of fabricating a terminal illness, she may choose to go through treatment without the people who didn't believe her when it mattered most. The weight of that possibility settled over the room like a funeral shroud. I stood up slowly, my compromised immune system making me feel weak and dizzy. I need to go home and prepare for admission tomorrow. Dr. Chin, what time should I be at the hospital? 7 a.m. sharp, she replied. We'll begin with the first cycle of intensive chemotherapy. It's a 28-day inpatient protocol, so you'll need someone to manage your affairs while you're hospitalized. My family looked at each other desperately, finally understanding that their months of dismissal had consequences beyond hurt feelings. Rebecca, my father said, his voice breaking, please let us be there for you now. Let us support you through this treatment. I paused at the doorway, looking back at the family who had chosen to celebrate Nathan's legal achievements while accusing me of faking terminal cancer. The celebration decorations seemed meaningless now, overshadowed by the harsh reality of what lay ahead. You had months to support me, I said quietly. You chose to call me anxious and dramatic instead of believing I was dying. Dr. Chin is right. I'll have better survival odds facing this alone than with people who think I'm a hypochondriac. As I left them sitting among the scattered medical files and destroyed celebration dinner, I realized that surviving leukemia might be easier than surviving my family's betrayal. At least the cancer was something I could fight with treatment. The knowledge that my own family had dismissed my terminal diagnosis as attention-seeking would be a wound that no chemotherapy could heal. They had celebrated Nathan's professional success while mocking my weekly checkups, never realizing those appointments were cancer monitoring that would determine whether I lived or died. Now they would have to face the consequences of that choice while I fought for my life without them. The irony was perfect. While they worried about my health anxiety, I was actually demonstrating extraordinary courage in the face of a life-threatening illness. Their successful son had won some legal cases. Their anxious daughter was about to fight cancer alone.